think everybody can feel this energy.
Right.
And I think one of the first things I did want to say, Jim, is it all right if I just go ahead and start, Jen?
Yes, please, because for those who don't know, Kellee has spoken up very openly about how intuitively she's seeing unrest. And you were one of the first interviews that I did where you said not only do you not see this resolving quickly with no matter who is chosen as winner,
Yeah,
they are going to contest it so much that you even said way back in August that you didn't see Trump leaving the White House willingly, like that you just said he was
that's
just not
correct.
going to leave, even
That's
if
correct.
the results show something or whatever. So
Hmm.
go ahead and tell us what you're seeing, because as we speak right this moment, it is Wednesday, the day after the election, and all of the TVs are saying Biden's pulling it off, and
Hmm.
he just won Michigan and he won Wisconsin, and it's only a matter of time before we say hello, President Biden. So what are you seeing, Kellee White?
Yeah, I don't see that. I see that it looks like he's going to win, and it will certainly appear that way. And it's the same astrology that was in to the year 2000. Remember when Gore won, and then all of a sudden Bush won? You woke up and you were like, "What? Like,
Mhm.
how did this happen?" Okay, it's kind of this way now. Astrologically, there are so many changes that are going to help this change. And what I mean by that is, if we just start with November 2nd, and then I'm going to go into why I feel the way I feel about this. November 2nd, we had a comet that came very close to to the world, to the United States, to the world, to Earth, and it was called the VP 2018, the VP1. But if you take the word, just the letters VP, it portends to me that there would be a vice president taking over, because this asteroid, this comet came so close, and asteroids mean something. Comets mean something. They portend something that historically is going to happen. So to me, I just view it as a vice president at some point is going to take over here. So that was November 2nd. Okay, November 3rd, election day, yesterday, Mercury went direct in Libra. But when a planet goes direct, it takes a couple of days, 2 to 3 to 4 days, to really feel the direct mode of that. And when this Mercury stationed the day of the election in Libra, which is fair and balance, it again tells me, the way I read this, is that there will um, we're not going to know at all for several days, and it will probably have to be figured out by a court of law. Somebody's going to have to come in and say it's this president, not this president. That's what I really believe, because Libra has to do with weights and balances in government. So I think that this is what's going to happen. But also on that same day, yesterday, Mercury in Libra was squaring Saturn in Capricorn, and that meant huge tension. And this suggests a sudden and definite change of plans. So let's say we all think it's going to be Biden. It looks this way, and then kaboom. Um, I think it's hard for me to say this, but I really believe that Trump wins from this part of it. I could be wrong, and I'm not. I'm just talking astrologically, because on November 7th, so remember, we're not going to have an answer yet for days, actually. On November 7th, Mars quincunx the sun, which means it's a terrible aspect, and this adds to violence. And so when people are saying, like, I'm from Beverly Hills, and everybody's like, oh, we boarded up the shops and everything on Monday and Tuesday. Monday and Tuesday, that's nothing. That doesn't mean anything. The next week, this end of this week and next week coming up, oof, I think it's going to be very intense, because the sun, it's quincunxing the sun, and the sun represents leadership, and Mars is the planet of war. Um, so it's could be attacks. It's just going to be very intense. And I'm not saying this to upset everybody, or it's just you can feel the energy. It's very intense.
It's
And
palpable. And you know what? Even today, when people were so excited to start spiking the football, I'm getting texts, my phone's blowing up.
mhm,
Everyone's like, okay, we can wake up from the bad dream now.
yeah,
Whatever way you're voting. I'm not
yeah,
trying to judge.
absolutely.
Everybody was just doing that. And something inside me, because all of these social clubs, Kellee, you're not alone.
Mhm.
People I know who are in a democratic mindset are saying they're seeing exactly what you're seeing, and it's going like not the way they thought it would be going. And here's one of the things, and I want to share this because Carolyn Mace is someone I look up to. I know a lot of people in this
Mhm.
gallery look up to her as well, and we were having a discussion with Zoom with some people that are in her wheelhouse, and she was saying that, as much as this has been disastrous in a lot of ways for my heart and my, I don't know,
Mhm.
with this presidency because of his narcissism and all these things that I don't believe in. What has happened is it's brought together a unity of no more passive Democrat or no more passive government, or I'll sit on the couch and just click from here and I'll just donate from my living room. It has
Mhm.
created an activism that's been dormant for a very long time to revamp, our voting system, to get rid of sexism with Me Too, to get rid
Mhm.
of racism with Black Lives Matter. All of this had to happen. The pendulum had to go as far
Mhm.
possible in this way for it to even swing back and get some normalcy. Would you believe that? Do you agree with that, Kellee?
Oh, I agree with that. And there's another very important piece with that. Absolutely, I believe that's one aspect. The other aspect is it's really we're all to practice being calm and bringing the calming energy in,
Mhm.
because in the higher realms, the energy is very calm. It's love, it's calmness, it's peaceful, it's higher realms. When we come to Earth, when we go to this school, this Earth plane, the energy here is turbulent. And so now you take a turbulent time just in general, there's turbulent energy. And then you take a turbulent time, and it's really for all of us also to practice that inner calm and it's about for light workers to remember their higher self. As light workers, our higher selves are on the other side, on a higher realm, and we're to connect with our higher in the higher realm with our higher self into our heart, to remember to breathe in and remain calm even in the face of all of this. So there are a lot, we're here because we all wanted to be here during this time, and I don't just mean on this show, I mean this time period we wanted to incarnate. Our souls will grow 7 times faster being here during this time. I'll give you a heads up. We come here to this dimension for kindness, love, and compassion. Often, what we are going to be shown is what that is not. So you can get to the other swing of, oh, this is what love is. This is what compassion is. This is what empathy is. So this is a school of hard knocks, and we're in it right now. We're
Wow. Well,
truly
yeah.
in it.
Yeah. And as we are in it, Kellee, and
Hmm.
for those who don't know, Kellee came into her gifts very late in life. You were corporate America doing your thing. You
Hmm.
said like living in Beverly Hills, and you get this head trauma. Then
Hmm.
suddenly, you're seeing dead people. That was really
Yes.
inconvenient. Then you had to learn how to do that. And then
Hmm.
you work with James Van Prague. He teaches you how to do that. And then you're like, wait a second, everybody who's grieving needs therapy, like bad.
Yes,
So then
that's
you get
correct.
a therapy degree, and now you're a therapist. But then when did you get into the astrology too? Because it's like you're a triple, quadruple threat.
I've always done astrology my whole life. That's one thing that I've always just followed. It's always given me a direction. And think it's important to know, for me, the work I do is to help calm people, give them direction, give them therapy if they need that, or if they need a message from their, mother who's passed, or their father who's passed, or their child who's passed. I'm here to do this work. I'm here to really help soothe people so they can have their life here, and they can go on and they can live and grow. So we don't have, so the basically, so all the evolution, we all rise, our evolution rises. This is why we incarnate here.
Right, right. All right.
So
So before we get to everyone's individual questions, is there any questions from the gallery? Do you all want to type in a question to Kellee about her process, how she works,
mhm.
anything she sees happening? I do have a
Well,
question, Kellee. You
okay.
mentioned planetarily there was something, and I don't know why this date sticks with me. November 28th.
Well, let me just finish the astrology too, if you don't
Yes, yes,
mind,
yes,
because
please.
these are some key dates here that people should know about.
Okay, great.
November 9th,
Mhm.
Venus squares Mars. Venus in its own house of Libra. Venus is the love goddess. Mars is the planet of war in its own house of Aries. It's still retrograde, but it's going to, oh no, I'm sorry, it's going direct. Um, it's these two opposing forces oppose each other. They square off this day. So this is going to be a key day, the 9th, for relationships. I want everybody to pay attention, whether it's a love relationship, a friendship relationship. This is a tough day, November 9th. November 12th, very, very tough time. It's the third conjunction of Jupiter and Pluto. Jupiter and Pluto, when they're next to each other, a conjunction is next to. When they're next to each other, Pluto and Jupiter is heaven and Pluto represents hell, basically. And so we're going to have this very intense time. During this time, the last time this happened was in 1981, and that was during the HIV virus. Okay. Another time this happened was in 1918 during the flu pandemic.
Wow.
Okay. The good news about this, well, to me, it's going to bring out and expand coronavirus. And then it's going to bring a healing to this. So not only are we going to find a vaccine, we're going to find all kinds of healings for all kinds of illnesses that will come about of this particular conjunction. So we're going to see some major dives, some downs and ups, and get your roller coaster. I mean, you're going to be on a roller coaster. Get your seatbelt on because everybody's going to need that. And then I'll get to November 28th.
No,
But
it's okay. We got other stuff to get before then.
okay, on November 13th, Mars, again, the planet of war, which was retrograde, goes direct. And again, when a planet stations, the day it stations to go direct, it gets even more intense. And that's it could be a very volatile day, that November 13th. All of this that I'm saying could lead to protests and really deep civil unrest during all of this time. Okay. And November 17th is a rough one too, because Mercury, the planet that it goes very quickly with information, opposes Uranus, and Uranus is the planet of surprise. So we may find out some things about the government that we don't know. We may find out during this period of time all kinds of things that we just don't know. On November 28th, that is when Neptune, the dreamy planet, has been retrograde. It actually turns direct. So it's going to be a time of great confusion for people because it's the dreamy planet. It puts people at kind of a confusion state, but it's going to be about having compassion for what we've all gone through in these days that come up. Okay. But the big one, yeah, is November 30th. And that's the full moon lunar eclipse. And that's in Gemini. And when this eclipse comes in, it's all going to be about letting go of all the old ways of thinking. And it's going to usher in new ways of thinking. So we have a lot of twists and turns this month that you're just not going to believe. It's going to be a very intense month.
It sure is.
Yep.
Okay, so everybody, right before this all we joined together, Kellee was telling me that I'm going to be moving. So in all of these horrible days, Kellee, is there one that's not a bad day to move?
That's really, really funny. Let's see. Is there a good day to move?
I mean, look at the way November is. Pardon me, shit. Like what is anybody gonna do? We're all gonna be like hiding under our desk.
It's just gonna be a very intense time. You still do what you have to do.
Right.
If you find something, which you probably will, you'll just say, okay, just know that everything's going to take patience. Right. I guess that's probably the biggest thing. Everybody keep your pants on, be as calm as you can during some of these heated times because you'll get triggered. This is a time for people are going to get triggered.
Right. And it also is a reminder about our practice, our spiritual practice,
right.
Together, keeping our meditation going, keeping our centeredness going. One thing I'm noticing a lot of people are reaching for more substances, more soothing, more chocolate,
right.
more Pinot Noir, more Xanax, whatever it is. I mean, jokes aside, it is what it is. But the reality is, and you've talked about this too, that they call it spirits for a reason, that because you become a rental if you become too unconscious and too out of your mind.
And you can't really do that. I'm really referring people to do things like Tai Chi, Qigong, energy movements, slow energy movements that keep you concentrated on the energy moves, on the moves. Right. Eat well, take care of yourself. We all get through this period of time. It's just going to take some time, it just is, but we'll get through it all.
Somebody has a question about your head trauma and if you had any inklings of your mediumship before the head trauma.
Oh, it's a great question. Yes, I was seen spirits from the time I was a little girl. And in fact, one day when I was about 8, I was asleep, and this man appeared to me, and he was a big guy, and he had kind of curly hair, and he said, "Go tell your mama that her uncle passed." And I said, "What?" I mean, you would think that I'd be scared out of my mind, but this energy was so loving that I wasn't scared. I was more afraid of going to wake my mom and with my dad there, because my dad was a musician and he slept late, and he was gonna. I figured I'd be in trouble. But I walked in and I told my mother. I said, "Mom, I saw a man," and she said, "What?" Okay, she walked me in the other room, and she said, "Who? What happened?" So I tell her, and it turned out it was my grandfather who lived on a farm without a phone. His brother had died. And when he found out, he said, "Oh, she's got the gift." It runs in my family. So that was a big deal. So I did not know that this was going to be my career path. I would have never imagined that in a million years, because I was a vice president of a large corporation, and I loved my work, and I wouldn't have thought about this. And then I had a traumatic brain injury, a sudden traumatic brain injury, and I had to learn all kinds of things like walking, talking, seeing. And then I started seeing dead people. And that was a huge, it was enormous. I lost everything. It was very traumatic. The whole thing was traumatic, traumatic. And then I had to come through all of that, and I started seeing dead people. And long story short, but a very good friend of mine knew James Van Prague and got me connected with James. And James really helped to ground me, settle me, and to help me with this gift. And
Yeah,
he's my dearest friend now.
that's
Stay.
amazing. And he was the first medium that I ever met on my journey
Right?
after reading
Hmm.
Talking to Heaven and then Reaching to Heaven. And
Hmm.
I write about him in many of my books. And he's
Yeah.
been a great friend and asset. And I'm so grateful that we are all one, right? We're all part of the
We're
same tribe here, people.
absolutely. And James and I are going to be doing a show starting on the 17th of November. 17th, I have to look.
I think you said the 16th,
The
Monday.
16th, sorry, you're right. Monday night,
Mhm.
Mondays at 8 p.m. Central Time. James and I are going to be doing a show, and we're taking spiritual subjects and psychological subjects, and people are going to be able to call in, and we'll
Perfect.
be able to answer your questions,
Both sides now and beyond on
both sides
November.
now and beyond.
And
Yeah.
then also, Kelly, just to
Mhm.
put this in now, and then we're going to get to the individual sessions with the questions for all of you. Repairing negative imprints of bad dads. If you had a bad dad, that's November 17th.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
that's how does that work? Repairing.
So, well, we have several people that'll be on a Zoom, if that's what you mean. We'll,
Yeah.
do it on
I mean,
Zoom.
how do you repair a negative imprint? How does that work?
Oh my gosh. Well, we do a lot of somatic work. Somatic means of the trauma that's been stored in the body. And
Mhm.
Dr. Shirley and Pellizzari and I have been partners for years. We've been working together for years. And we're going to take it from a psychological standpoint of what happens to the energy, what kind of father you may have had, um, or how the negativity may have gone in. And so we're going to begin the process of letting go of a lot of that and helping you through a lot of it and giving you a lot of tools to understand this parent. And we did one on bad moms, and it was a very successful. We did that about 8 weeks ago.
I'm so
Because
bummed I
people
missed
have
that one.
toxic parents, but we choose our parents
I know.
before we incarnate.
But that's the thing. So what about our siblings? Because boy, do I have some toxic ones in
Well,
the
we're
road.
doing bad siblings too, because we got
Oh,
on a roll.
okay,
I
good.
swear to God, we got on a roll, and we have to do bad siblings, because who among us has not had a bad sibling? That's what I'd like to know.
Gosh.
So,
And I had a recent conversation. We just did an event with Susan Roll, another psychic medium, and she was saying that sometimes these toxic relationships that are in our immediate family, right, our blood family or
mhm,
whatever, are and then they're there to show us what we don't want to be, but then also they're sort of requiring a boundary that's put up that you feel so guilty about putting up, but you really have to put up because
yeah.
energetically, and this is so interesting, she said, a lot of people don't want to see you succeed
Mhm.
because that reminds them of what they're not doing,
Oh, absolutely.
right?
Well, they want to keep you in the same familial pattern.
Right.
They'll bring you back to, remember you did this at 10, and you're like, shut up. I don't want to talk about that now. We're
Right.
doing big ticket things in the world. What are you talking about? Because they want to bring you back. It's interesting how, but
Right.
we choose our siblings.
Hmm. We do. Okay.
We do. What are you learning from all of them? I'll tell you what I've learned from mine. Boundaries.
Yes, me
Can
too.
you talk now? Nope, I can't. Gotta go.
There we go.
Oh, you should hear me now. I'm the queen of boundaries.
Boundaries are good, and people knock me for having boundaries, but You got to keep the vibration in a positive space. Somebody had just
Yeah.
asked, how do you sign up for Bad Dads? How do you sign up for any of
Oh, you can
Kellee
go
White?
to bothsidesnowtv.com, bothsidesnowtv.com, or you can go to my website, kelleewhite.com. That's KELLEE white.com. I
I'll
think it's
have
on
all of
that
this
too.
for everybody in my summary email, as I always do with the Spiritual Social Clubs.
Thank you.
So now here, let's get to individual questions. I will stop the recording at this time because